The Galactic Council gathered to witness their Doomsday weapons activation, a planet killer forged over centuries. The humans arrived late, coffee in hand, squinting at it like a broken dishwasher. The Galactic Council chamber thrummed with reverence. Marble towers stretched to a vaulted ceiling alive with holographic constellations. Hundreds of alien delegates crowded into raised tiers, their gazes locked on the stage where a monstrous device pulsed like a living star. The Doomsday engine, the Council's crown jewel, hummed in anticipation. Entire species whispered prayers to it. And then the humans arrived. Late. Carrying coffee. Commander Elias Ward strolled in first, uniform sharp but collar slightly undone, like a man who had dressed in a hurry. He offered a genial nod to the assembly, steam rising from the paper cup in his hand. Behind him shuffled three aides, whispering among themselves, one still fiddling with a granola bar wrapper. Ward squinted at the colossal weapon. Huh! He muttered, voice carrying uncomfortably far in the hush. Looks like a busted dishwasher. A ripple of gasps broke the solemn air. The Vree Dominion's delegate, a towering reptilian wrapped in ceremonial steel, hissed. That, he snarled, is the culmination of 1,000 civilizations. Show respect, human. Ward blinked, sipped his coffee, then gestured casually with the cup. Respect? Oh, sure. It's big. Shiny. Looks heavy. Definitely wouldn't fit through my front door. But tell me, does it rattle when it runs, or just hum? The aide with the granola bar coughed into his hand to hide laughter. From the gallery, an elder Kalari with silver scales leaned forward. Mock not what you do not understand, human. Some laughter hides fear. Ward turned, smiled politely. You're right. Sometimes it does. And sometimes it's just laughter. The council master, a gelatinous creature named Droke, oozed onto the platform. His tone vibrated like a sermon. The Doomsday engine is destiny made manifest. It can unmake worlds. End empires. Burn suns to ash. Today, you will witness its unveiling. Polite applause filled the chamber. Humans clapped too, out of sync, like tourists at a play they didn't quite follow. Ward leaned to his aide. Looks like someone overclocked a space heater and stuck it on life support. The aide whispered back. Sir, please. Relax, Ward murmured. His eyes never left the weapon. The Vree delegate rose, voice sharp as blades. Earthlings! Do you comprehend nothing? That machine is salvation. Fear is its due. Ward smiled pleasantly. Fear? Oh, I left that in my other jacket. Sorry. Laughter, genuine this time, rippled through a few corners of the chamber. Other aliens stared in horror at such irreverence. The council signaled for silence. Droke extended an appendage toward the weapon. Observe, and know the price of defiance. Lights flared. The Doomsday engine's core blazed white-hot, streams of power arcing into containment fields. The chamber shook as if reality itself objected. Through a viewport, a barren moon drifted into alignment. A single pulse lanced outward. The moon cracked apart like brittle glass, fragments scattering into void. Delegates erupted in thunderous approval. Chanting. Cheers. Some knelt. The air stank of awe. Humans clapped again, still offbeat. Ward gave a courteous nod. Nice fireworks show. Ever considered syncing it to music? Something dramatic. Maybe Wagner. The Vree delegate's claws scraped the desk. Insolent mammal! That was power beyond your comprehension. Ward tilted his head. Beyond mine? Possibly. But my grandmother's blender sounded scarier. The aide with the granola bar snorted and earned a glare from every direction. Another alien, thin, insectoid voice sharp, spoke. Human irreverence is legend, but this borders on suicidal. Ward replied smoothly. Legend? I'll take that as a compliment. Suicidal? Not today. He took another sip of coffee. His eyes were calm, calculating, hidden behind that easy grin. Droke gestured dramatically. Humanity has witnessed what none may challenge. Submit your worlds to Council Dominion, or share the fate of that moon. Ward exhaled, set his coffee down carefully on the railing, and stepped closer to the weapon. His boots echoed across the pristine floor. "May I?" he asked, polite as a guest at a dinner table. "May you?" the VRI delegate choked. "You dare touch it?" Ward crouched, inspecting the base, running his hand lightly across the glowing conduits. He tapped one with his knuckle, listening for resonance. "Yep. Just as I thought. Someone's using redundant capacitors. That's why your energy output fluctuates. Honestly, this thing's wired like a college project." A dozen voices erupted at once. "Blasphemy! Sacrilege! Remove him!" Ward straightened, expression apologetic but eyes glinting sharp. "I didn't mean offense. Just offering some practical feedback. You'd be amazed what duct tape could solve." A murmur of confusion swept the chamber. The phrase meant nothing to most species. The Kalari elder's eyes narrowed, scales shimmering. "He plays the fool, yet speaks with knowledge. Beware, counsel." Ward gave a soft chuckle, turned back toward the weapon, and whispered almost to himself, "Oh, I'm just getting started." The chamber doors slammed shut behind them. The chamber doors locked with a metallic groan, sealing humans and hundreds of alien delegates inside. Ward glanced back at the sound, raised his eyebrows, and muttered, "Well, that's not ominous at all." The aides shifted uneasily, but Ward's calm didn't waver. He paced toward the weapon again, circling it like a man inspecting a car he had no intention of buying. "Stand away!" barked the insectoid delegate, mandibles clacking furiously. "This construct is not for primitive hands." Ward stopped mid-step, gave a polite half-bow. "Primitive? My mother used that word when I tried rewiring the toaster as a kid. Burned down half the kitchen, sure, but the toast was perfect." Muffled laughter leaked from one of the younger aides. Ward silenced him with the smallest flick of a glance. The humor was surface. Underneath, his eyes scanned every coil, every glowing junction, mapping weaknesses faster than the aliens could lecture. Droke, the gelatinous master of ceremonies, vibrated with outrage. "You belittle destiny itself. The engine is untouchable, incorruptible." Ward leaned in close enough that the reflected glow lit his cheek. "Funny. Everything I've ever seen with wires and moving parts breaks eventually. Usually on a Sunday night when the repair shop's closed." The VRI delegate slammed his claw on the railing. "You mock. You dare trivialize what could unravel suns." Ward's smile didn't shift. "Yes. Suns, moons, empires, and yet it still has the same maintenance issues as a second-hand washing machine. That humming? Uneven load bearing in the core stabilizers. Left unchecked, your one power surge from a very messy recall." A murmur spread through the chamber. Engineers from lesser species whispered, some nodding despite themselves. The council silenced them with glares, but doubt had already cracked the facade. Droke expanded, ripples coursing across his gelatinous frame. "Enough of this. Humans will observe. Nothing more." Ward straightened, brushed invisible dust from his jacket. "Of course. Observation. That's our specialty." He strolled back to his group, voice low but clear enough to travel. "And while we observe, maybe we take a few notes for the Galactic Better Business Bureau. Someone should file a complaint." The aide nearest him whispered, "Sir, you're pushing too hard." Ward sipped his coffee. "Hard? No. Just enough." On command, the weapon surged again. Lights flared, panels shook, the hum growing into a roar. This time the target wasn't a lifeless moon but a drifting asteroid cluster. The beam lanced out, then flickered. Energy stuttered, output dipped, before stabilizing again to shatter the rocks into clouds of glittering dust. Delegates still cheered, but thinner, less certain. Ward clapped politely. "Ah, see? There's that rattle I mentioned. Someone should check the coolant lines." The VRI delegate bared serrated teeth. "This is no human kitchen contraption. It is the galaxy's judgment made real." Ward's smile turned razor thin. "Every judgment machine I've seen breaks the moment someone spills coffee on it." He tilted his cup, just enough to make the V twitch. Droke thundered. Silence him! Council guards stirred, but none moved fast enough. Ward raised his free hand in a calming gesture. Relax. I'm just here to appreciate the craftsmanship. After all, it's not every day I see a superweapon put together with parts that look suspiciously like a repurposed space heater. That earned gasps, and for the first time, stifled chuckles from a few daring aliens. Ward crouched again, fingers tracing the seam where two panels met. He tapped lightly, listening to the hollow echo. Yep. Structural weakness right here. Hit this with the right frequency, the whole containment field shakes itself apart. But hey, what do I know? I just burned popcorn last week. The aides pretended to laugh, but Ward's tone carried something else, knowledge sharp as a blade under the humor. The insectoid delegate stepped forward, antennae quivering. Explain yourself, human. How would you know this? Ward looked up, expression innocent. Oh, you know us. We tinker. We fix. We break things just to see how they work. It's a hobby. Some people knit sweaters. We take apart Doomsday engines. The Kalari elder's voice cut across the uproar. He speaks not as a fool. He speaks as one who sees through the mask. Ward gave the elder a respectful nod. I do like your metaphors. Droke flared brighter, voice shaking with fury. Humans will leave this hall at once. Guards escort them. Before the order could finish, the weapon sputtered. Sparks leapt from its conduits, a high-pitched whine filling the air. Delegates shrieked, scrambling. Ward stayed calm. Told you. Uneven load. Panic spread. Engineers slammed controls, coolant hisses filled the chamber. The beam fizzled out entirely, leaving the weapon steaming like an exhausted engine. Ward lifted his cup. Well, at least the light show's over. Anyone else smell burning insulation? Droke thundered. You tampered! Ward tilted his head, mock offense painted on his face. Tampered? Oh no. I wouldn't dream of it. I wouldn't even know where to start. This thing's probably got, 300 redundant failsafes. Right. A silence heavy as gravity followed. Every alien in the room realized simultaneously. He didn't know where to start. The VRI delegate growled low, voice shaking. What game are you playing, human? Ward's smile was faint, unreadable. Game? Oh, we don't play games with galaxy killers. We just troubleshoot. The aides shifted, catching his subtle hand signal. Their earlier clumsiness melted into precision as they edged toward the weapon's perimeter, casual yet deliberate. Ward took one last sip of his coffee, then set the cup gently on the council railing. But you're right about one thing. This isn't a kitchen appliance. He leaned in, eyes cold now, smile still polite. It's a hazard. And you've been using it without reading the fine print. The Doomsday engine shrieked like metal tearing itself apart. Sparks rained down, smoke curling from its seams. Panels bulged outward as if the machine fought against its own skin. The once reverent chamber dissolved into chaos, delegates shouting, guards fumbling with weapons, technicians scrambling toward consoles. Ward stood unmoving, hands clasped behind his back, eyes fixed on the sputtering monster. He looked more like a man watching a ceiling fan wobble than the collapse of a galaxy killer. The VRI delegate rounded on him, fangs bared. You did this! Ward arched a brow. Me? I didn't even touch anything. Unless sarcasm interferes with energy output, in which case, sorry about that. The insectoid diplomat slammed its spindly arms against the railing. Lies! Your species carries sabotage in its blood. Ward smiled faintly. We prefer the term innovation. The Kalari elder spoke, calm despite the chaos. Stop blaming. Look! The human warned you of imbalance. And now you see truth. Droke loomed over the chamber, gelatinous body shivering with fury. Seize them! Now! Guards surged forward. Ward didn't move, but his aides shifted in perfect sync, dropping their clumsy tourist act. Their stances hardened, hands hovering near concealed gear. Ward raised one finger. Careful! If this thing blows while we're brawling, none of us are walking out. The warning landed. Even furious, the guards froze. No one wanted to be vaporized by the very weapon they worshipped. The engine groaned again, spewing arcs of white energy. A chunk of alloy plating tore free, clattering across the floor. Ward took a step closer, tone conversational. See that? Classic cascade failure. Like when your dryer eats a sock, then the whole drum comes loose. A VRI officer snapped. This is not laundry, human! Ward's grin sharpened. No. It's worse. At least a dryer only ruins your clothes. This? If containment collapses, congratulations, you've just turned your council chamber into the galaxy's biggest crematorium. The uproar dimmed into fearful silence. Eyes darted to the weapon, then back to him. Ward crouched, tapping his knuckle against the exposed alloy. Sparks leapt, but he didn't flinch. This part here? Resonance flaw. Any decent engineer from Earth could have told you. But no, you built it like a cathedral, not a machine. Pretty, terrifying, and one good shove from disaster. The insectoid delegate hissed. You speak as if you understand its design. Ward straightened slowly, smile still in place, voice lowering. Understand? I've seen it before. The words sliced through the chamber like knives. Droke pulsed in disbelief. Impossible. This is unique. No mind but ours. Ward interrupted softly. You think you invented fear? That you alone forged planet killers? We were making toys like this when we still thought Pluto was a planet. The difference is, we don't worship them. We recycle them. A ripple of horror swept the chamber. Delegates whispered in disbelief. One aide produced a sleek device, ran it across the weapon's surface. Beeps confirmed what Ward already knew. Sir, the aide said, voice clear. They patched over half the regulators with decorative plating. It's a miracle it lasted this long. Ward clapped the aide's shoulder lightly. See? Even junior staff could tell. The VRI delegate snarled. You came to sabotage, to humiliate us. Ward's voice turned cold beneath its politeness. No. We came to make sure you didn't turn this into a galactic funeral. Imagine if you'd fired it near a civilized system. It wouldn't just destroy the target, it would backfire and take half the sector with it. Droke quivered. You cannot know this. Ward locked eyes with him, smile fading into something harder. Can't I? Or did you forget humans spent centuries building bigger bombs than they could carry, until we learned the only way to survive them was to stop being impressed? Silence thickened. Even the weapon seemed to quiet, its sputtering hum filling the gaps between words. Ward turned, voice gentle but cutting. Your mistake wasn't building it. Your mistake was assuming fear would keep it in check. Fear doesn't maintain machines. Engineers do. He stepped back, gesturing to his aides. They moved in a slow circle around the device, pretending to inspect, though their hands moved with deliberate rhythm, placing, adjusting, preparing. Aliens watched, some furious, others transfixed. The Kilari elder leaned forward, voice low and certain. They laugh because they know. They mock because truth frightens more than silence. Look at them. They are predators wearing jokes like camouflage. Ward inclined his head toward the elder. Finally, someone gets it. Droke roared. You dare threaten this council? Ward's polite tone cut like glass. Not threaten. Advise. You wanted a show of power? Well, here it is. You've built a Doomsday weapon you can't control. We just made sure it remembers who's holding the leash. The aides snapped the final clamps into place. Tiny lights blinked, human tech woven into alien steel. The engine's unstable hum smoothed into something steadier, but the chamber felt colder for it. Ward gave the chamber a small, courteous bow. Congratulations. Your miracle machine now works. For us. A silence heavier than any explosion smothered the hall. The VRI delegate finally spoke, voice breaking. What have you done? Ward lifted his abandoned coffee, swirling the dregs before setting it back down. His smile returned, thin as a knife edge. Nothing dramatic. Just installed a failsafe. Think of it as a warranty. One that expires the moment you point this thing anywhere near Earth. The chamber was too quiet for a room that had just hosted the galaxy's most important council. One by one, alien envoys shuffled out, their heads lowered, muttering about contingency plans and containment protocols. The council's grand marble walls, once meant to echo with power, now carried only the uncomfortable silence of shame. Humans hadn't brought weapons, fleets, or even soldiers. Just a battered old repair case, a few engineers with coffee mugs, and a diplomat who insisted on calling the Doomsday engine a heater coil with delusions of grandeur. And yet, the Empire's most sacred terror device now hummed like a dishwasher mid-cycle. Admiral Varric stood rooted near the dais, mandibles grinding. He couldn't shake the image burned into his mind, a human in grease-stained overalls whistling while poking at the galaxy's crown jewel of destruction. No prayers. No rituals. Just, wrench, click, muttered curse, done. Across the hall, Tessa leaned against the dais, her expression calm, almost amused. You look like you swallowed a plasma core, she said to Varix. He flared his crests. You, mockery incarnate, you've stripped the Empire's soul bare. Do you grasp what you've done? She raised an eyebrow. Fix your toy? The word toy landed like an orbital strike. Generations had bowed before the Doomsday engine. Entire civilizations had been erased with a mere demonstration. Yet here was a human diplomat dismissing it as if it were a child's gadget. Varix bared his mandibles. That toy kept the galaxy obedient. It bound us in unity. Fear forged our empire. You've unraveled it with a smirk. Tessa's eyes glinted. Sounds fragile, if a smirk was all it took. Meanwhile, in the archives chamber below, 2 engineers were still examining the machine's innards. Looks like someone over-engineered the capacitor loops, muttered Alvarez, flashlight in his teeth. No wonder it kept overheating. His partner, Chen, sipped cold coffee and squinted at the readings. Yeah, it's just feedback mismanagement. Honestly, I've seen rice cookers wired better. Rice cookers? Yeah, you know, those things never fail. You leave them plugged in for 20 years and they'll still outlive you. This monstrosity? It's basically a rice cooker that went to therapy and came out with superiority issues. Alvarez chuckled, then yelled back up toward the council chamber. We'll need about 30 minutes if you want it fully tuned. Might even make it efficient for once. The aliens above froze. Efficient. The very words sent a ripple of terror through the dignitaries who hadn't yet fled. Humanity wasn't just mocking their empire. They were casually offering upgrades. High Chancellor Roran, the Empire's voice for centuries, finally spoke, his deep tone shaking with fury and humiliation. You humans desecrate what you cannot comprehend. This engine is not merely circuitry, it is heritage. Legacy. Divine supremacy. Tessa tilted her head, feigning polite curiosity. Funny. Back home, we call that branding. Usually slapped on a toaster to make people pay double. You dare equate. I dare. She cut in, her voice suddenly sharp, silencing him. And let me be clear, your legacy of fear? It just collapsed because a couple of bored engineers with caffeine addiction found your divine supremacy riddled with design flaws. You built your empire on intimidation. We dismantled it with a wrench. The hall erupted in uneasy murmurs. Some aliens looked horrified, others oddly relieved, as if chains had cracked. Varix clenched his fists. You've broken the balance. Without the engine, war will return. Worlds will rebel. Blood will flow again. Tessa's smile faded into something colder. Balance? You call tyranny balance? You threaten to annihilate billions to keep your empire in line. If blood comes now, it's not on us, it's on those who mistook oppression for order. Her words landed like iron. Even the Chancellor's retort caught in his throat. For the first time, the chamber's silence wasn't shame, it was possibility. Down below, Alvarez wiped his hands and looked at Chen. So, you think they're gonna keep it? Chen smirked. Nah. Something tells me they're too scared to admit we just turned their god into a glorified space heater. They shared a laugh, oblivious to the fact that their casual jokes were about to ignite rebellions across half the galaxy. Back in the chamber, the Chancellor finally whispered, "If fear is gone, then what remains?" Tessa stepped forward, her tone soft but edged with steel. "Choice. You can try to rebuild your empire with honesty. Or you can watch it fracture, piece by piece, as those you ruled finally see you for what you are, bluffers hiding behind a broken machine." Varix snarled. "And what of humans? You believe you can walk free after humiliating us? You think no empire will rise against you now?" She met his glare, unwavering. "We don't need an empire. We've survived worse than your threats. Try us." The weight in her voice carried something alien ears couldn't quite parse, but instinct screamed danger. Humans had laughed at the galaxy's sharpest blade. What would they do when someone actually tried to cut them? Later, when the humans finally departed, their shuttle vanishing into the void, whispers consumed the Empire. Some spoke of revenge. Others whispered rebellion. And some, quieter still, whispered all. For in a single day, humanity had done what no armada, no resistance, no uprising had ever managed. They had ridiculed the Empire's greatest weapon. And the galaxy could not unhear the punchline.